Quasi here, and in this video, I'm going to share with you why you keep getting haunted by past events that have occurred in your life and why you keep reliving those programs, which is keeping you stuck in Groundhog Day. And really, this was something I needed to understand to help me overcome this past conditioning and not relive it in the present moment. This is the biggest fallacy of mankind. We keep reliving the past and our future becomes influenced by that. And this is why we keep staying stuck in the same patterns over and over again. And the key thing I had to understand was internalizing these events, how I internalize them. So by the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 keys that's going to allow you to change that and stop those programs running unconsciously, make them conscious, and really choose the kind of conditioning you buy into. I really want you to stick around till the very end of this video because this is going to be extremely crucial to your spiritual, to your personal growth, to even your business growth. Before I begin this video, I wanted to quickly announce that a couple of spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me for the Reality Mastery program. Make sure you wait around till the end of this video for the announcement on that. And with that, let's get started. So in this video, I want to talk to you about internalizing events and whatever the hell that means. So really what I want you to know before going forward is that every single event that has occurred in the past in your life, that is occurring now, that will occur in the future, they're all results of karmic proclivities. And again, what does that mean, right? So really remember that all events are neutral, okay? So what I mean by that is every single event that happens as a result of, keeping balance within reality. It's just establishing nature's balance. It's a natural law. So with that being said, all events are really neutral. It's not like God hates you and then makes all of these things happen that make your life go to shit. So to give you an example, let's say you become a millionaire and you keep making $1 million a month, but then one month you make, $10,000. You don't make $1 million, but you go down in your income. So now you're like, shit, this is something bad that's happened. But for someone who's never experienced a $10,000 a month before, they come in your position and they make a $10,000 a month instead of making $1 million every month. They'd be like, oh, great, I made a $10,000 a month. That's still great. That's better than making nothing, right? So it's all a matter of perspective. So more often than not, we start to attach these meanings. Well, not more often than not, always. We attach these meanings based on what we expect from life, right? We expect it to go well. We get attached to it going well, so we become attached to that idea that life should be like this. But when it doesn't, that's when we start to doubt ourselves. So remember that all events are neutral, and nothing's trying to spite you, nothing's trying to go against you. It's just nature maintaining its laws. It's just your perspective sees it as this is good and this is bad. That's good and that's bad. And all of these things, the very reason why you have certain patterns and certain things keep happening, let's say with relationships, let's say with your personal life, let's say you have the same toxic relationships over and over, let's say you keep staying stuck in the same business patterns, you have $10,000 a month and then you go back to 5,000 or make 0 and it's inconsistent. It's essentially because you're being haunted by the past due to that karmic proclivity. Okay, so due to karma. Now, what I mean by that is essentially this. Karma translates to action. Okay, it's not what goes around comes around, it's action. And it can be internal action in the matter, in the way of your thought, or external action that you take. So the process of life is the process of undoing this karma. Okay? Life wants to naturally undo this karma and get to more and more entropy, more and more expansiveness, more and more freedom. So this whenever you put a meaning onto something, whenever you have a thought, it will show up as a material reality. The more energy, aka the more emotional intensity you give to a certain thought, the higher power it has for it to show up as a reality. But the thing is, we've been unconsciously internalizing these events that have happened in our lives based on our expectations. So to give you an example, let's say in the past you've gotten bullied and now you're like, oh, you're very, very introverted and you're very, very shy and you feel blocked and you can't express yourself freely. And so you attach a meaning to that. You're like, I'm like this because I got bullied. And when you got bullied, you perceived it so badly and you were so traumatized by it. This is why traumatic events start haunting you even right now to this day. And this is all because of the meaning you put onto that event in the past, right? So now the result of that you're seeing in your current reality and the future that's coming about. It's all based on that meaning you put onto it. If I want to graphically represent this, it would be like this. Let's say you have this one event happening, right? And basically there are 3 types of attention you can attribute to any event in your life. There is a positive attention where you perceive it positively. You're like, wow, this was good. There is negative attention where it's like, oh, I do not like that. This was bad. And neutral attention where you don't even care. So the neutral attention is what most spiritual people, most yogis, they try to get to. Without, they don't try to label anything. It's just neutral. They start to realize that everything is neutral. It's all happening to establish balance. Positive and negative attention are polarizing. They have the power to attract certain events and certain realities. Neutral attention undoes this karma and doesn't attract or repel any reality. Okay? So when you put a negative attention to bullying, let's say you're young, you're here, and this event happens and you say, oh shit, I got bullied. And now you put a negative meaning onto it. By the virtue of putting a negative meaning, what happens is you shift onto negative lifelines. Okay? So this is the negative lifeline. This is the positive lifeline that could have happened. So when you move on to that negative lifeline, subsequent events that happen start to follow that pattern because you're basically paving a pathway for your life. You're making a story. You're basically saying, I'm like this because I got bullied. So now you're like introverted, you're shy and nothing goes your way. And at work one day, you were to deliver this presentation and you delivered it and it didn't go to your expectation. Maybe other people thought it was good, but then you put another negative meaning onto it. And then you move on to more negative lifelines, right? Instead of moving to a positive. You could have put a positive meaning on it and you could have shifted. But because you keep attaching this negative meaning over and over, you keep going back to that old previous event and you keep reliving it over and over in your mind. This is what creates suffering. There's pain and there's suffering. Pain is when it happens once and it goes away. Suffering is when you keep repeating that program over and over unconsciously. You just can't get rid of it. It becomes a nightmare. So suffering is that which is happening all the time. Pain happens once it goes away, right? So now the whole trajectory of your life follows in that negative lifeline, that negative attention that you put onto it. So what I want you to remember from this is by the virtue of the attention, the quality of the attention we put onto these events that are happening, how we internalize them, the subsequent events happen. So let's say tomorrow something happens and someone calls you stupid, right? And when you perceive it negatively, you're like, oh shit, that person called me stupid. Shit, this is bad. What did I do that's stupid? And then, you start to get very introspective. You're like, oh shit, I'm stupid. Why am I stupid? Do other people think I'm stupid? And now, let's say something else happens, you go into public and have to do a speech and you're like, oh shit, I wonder if these people think I'm stupid. So now you keep replaying this stupid, this event that happened over and over by the negative attention you put onto it. But let's say as opposed to that, you put a positive attention to it. You're like, okay, this person called me stupid. Maybe there's something I can learn here. This was something that's good for me. And then something else happens. You go on to this same speech and you're like, maybe this person called me stupid because I need to improve on X, Y, Z. So you do make the changes and the implementation and you do improve. And as a result, what happens is you have a great speech and you're like, wow, I'm so glad this person told me I was stupid because he gave me a reminder that something in me needed to be improved. So as a result, you make these improvements and you become better, right? So that's what the power of positive attention is. So to really give you another concrete example, Tony Robbins talks a lot about this in his book, Awaken the Giant Within. So he says, there are two sons, twins that were born into the family of an abusive father. And this father was like a drunkard. He would abuse his children. And let's say one of them is called John, the other one's Bob. John becomes a wildly successful CEO, and a reporter goes to interview him. He's like, well, your father was abusive. How come you became that way? How come you became such a successful CEO and a wonderful father? To which John answered, well, I became like this because my father was this way. I couldn't be any other way. And now the reporter goes to Bob, which is the other twin, and Bob turned out the same way as his father. Same drunkard, abusive dad to his children as well. And so the reporter asks, well, how come you turned out this way, Bob? He's like, well, my father was this way. How could I not turn out the same way? So they both had the same answer to the question, but the meaning behind it, the actual intention behind it, was different. Do you see what's happening here? How you internalize that determines the trajectory of your life that happens. Okay, so to give you an example, in my personal life, I always thought it was a blessing that I got bullied. For some reason, I started to see it as a blessing, and I was like, this was good for me because now I know how to be personable. I know how to be a chameleon and fit into different settings. Now I know how to express myself. And, because I got bullied, I got deep down into studying human psychology and also studying, how to be charismatic, how to be sociable, and read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Right? So I was like, getting bullied was the best thing that ever happened to me. And that's how my life started to go on afterwards. Right? I started to build up on that meaning because I consciously chose that. I consciously chose to put a positive meaning to it. The mind will naturally go to that negative tendency because of societal conditioning. We're always looking for a place to worry. Okay? It's just how the ego mind is. It's always protecting and trying to survive. So now I want to share with you the 3 keys that is going to make this implementable in your life. I really, really want you to stick around to the very end of this, because once you learn these 3 keys, I promise you, all of these events and you've been stuck in a toxic pattern, this is going to break free, okay, once and for all. So key number 1 is become very, very conscious about the conditioning that you accept. We're innocent. The human mind is very, very innocent. We'll accept anything. We see something on TV, we're like, coronavirus, bad. And so we buy into that conditioning. Coronavirus and this recession could be a great thing. Some people's businesses are thriving. They put that positive meaning to it, and as a result, they're going to benefit when this storm passes over. So ask yourself this. Every single day, every single thing that you're hearing, are you conscious about what meaning you're putting onto it, or are you unconsciously listening to what the media is saying, what other people are saying, and you're falling into that herd mentality, right? You got to remember to wake up. That's the key. Or else you're just going to fall into this collective consciousness of wherever you are living. A surefire way to, get to a higher level of consciousness is to have like a mastermind, a group of people that you surround yourself with who are naturally positive. That'll bring you up. Because when you fall unconscious, you're going to be a sponge to all of that information, as opposed to surrounding yourself in a negative environment. But the best thing to do if you are in a negative environment is to become conscious yourself. Okay? Become conscious about the conditioning you're accepting in your life. Number 2. Now, you've got to observe where your mind is attributing like a meaning to a past event. So what I mean by this is look at every single area of your life right now. What are these excuses you're making about why you're not able to do this? And what meaning are you putting onto these excuses? So let's say you're initially unaware of this, but your mind keeps making the excuse that, I am this way because I got bullied. Change that meaning that you initially put on being bullied. The power of this is that it's not bounded by time. You can go back to like the past event that you put a negative meaning to when you're here, right? You can go back to it and be like, you know what? Maybe there are a couple of good things that have happened as a result of me getting bullied 10 years ago. I'm so glad that I did get bullied because now I'm this way and I can improve and become better. Now that I've stumbled on this video, now I understand. I wouldn't be searching for this video if I didn't get bullied or something traumatic happened in my past, right? So there's always a positive. So all events are neutral, and neutral means you can choose to put on the meaning that you want to put on it, right? You can either put a positive meaning or you can put a negative meaning to it. Which one are you going to put in? Or you can put a neutral one. Up to you. So observe where your mind attributes this positive or negative meaning to that past event and change that meaning. Okay, this is powerful because now you can go back into the past and change that meaning, that program that's been playing on autopilot. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight. And chances are, if you can't change that meaning of something bad happening in the past, accept it. Put a neutral meaning onto it. Just accept it instead of trying to, letting it replay over and over in your life. Just become conscious and aware of it. In that manner, surrender occurs. If you want to know the mechanism to surrender and letting go, click up here. Number 3, any future event that happens, again, become conscious about what meaning you're putting onto it. Okay? This is absolutely crucial. So now when you get presented with a future event, let's say this is a meaning again, when a future event happens, you can stop it in its tracks. You can literally stop it in its tracks and say, nope, this cycle ends here. This cycle of unconsciously internalizing this event as a negative ends here. Now I'm going to put a positive meaning to it. It's going to be hard because you've been pessimistic up until this point, right? So this has become a pattern in your life, complaining about things and, putting a negative meaning onto it. This has become a general pattern, but you can break free from this pattern if you just remember to wake up, put a positive meaning to it, or at the very least, just accept it and know that the positive meaning is going to show itself later on. If you want to learn more about this, I made a video on this called the Advantage Method. How to influence all of these meanings that are coming into your life and, consciously choose whatever you're attributing to it. Okay? And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. And just to recap, we talked about why you keep getting haunted by the past and why all of those past programs keep replaying in your life right now. And this all happened as a result of you unconsciously internalizing an event, which created that karma. A karmic debt. Don't get me wrong, positive and negative attention both create karma. It just creates positive karma and negative karma. But the true spiritual person wants no karma at all, right? That's why they neutrally observe events. That's when you drop that whole load of karma. So remember that all events are neutral. It's just universe exerting and keeping balance. You just want it to be a certain way. It shouldn't matter to you whether or not you made a $10,000 month or zero. Life goes on anyways. Life is still going to go on, right? You could have the bare minimum and just survive. And we're haunted by these past events due to that karma, that negative karma we attribute to, that negative meaning we're attaching to it. Remember, your attention has 3 qualities. Positive and negative, both of which are polarizing. Neutral, which is non-polarizing, and it just dissolves reality, right? So to give you an example of this, let's say you got bullied. And you kept attaching a negative meaning to getting bullied. So then your life followed a negative trajectory. And then you got bullied more, or bad things happened as a result of this bullying. So this bullying is now playing over and over and over in your life, creating this perpetual cycle of suffering. Right? So in order to change that, the 3 keys you've got to adhere to. First of all, become acutely conscious about this conditioning you're accepting. Right? Every single day there are things happening outside of you. When you fall asleep, you accept it. Remember, things aren't evil. People aren't evil. It's just the collective consciousness right now. The mind just likes to go there because it wants to protect itself. It's always stuck in that protection mode. That's what it is like naturally if you live in the realm of the mind. So become conscious about your conditioning. Okay, what you're choosing to accept. You can refuse to accept these conditioning if you want to, right? But you fall asleep, we fall asleep, and we just accept them, and then we start to repeat what other people around us are saying. This is why I don't like subliminal messaging, because now you're falling unconscious to that conditioning. You're not choosing the conditioning you want, right? To a certain level, you're like, all right, I'm going to fall asleep with this and just listen to this until it becomes ingrained in my brain. But still a level of consciousness is missing in there. Number 2, observe where your mind attributes this meaning. So any past event that's happened and you're looking at it currently, you can go back into the past and change that meaning. You can say, no, there has been some positives to me getting bullied 10 years ago. What are they? You start to list them down. And then you start to keep them in the forefront of your mind anytime, something happens. And you use that to confirm it. Let's say you say, bullying has made me more resilient. And now another bad thing happens in your life, something that didn't go your way. And you're like, No worries. I got bullied, so now I'm resilient. Come on, I can take worse than that. So you put a positive meaning to it, right? And number 3, any future event that happens, become acutely conscious of it again. And you can choose to break the cycle and put a positive meaning that's coming up with events that are coming up in the future. And as a result, your life will follow a positive trajectory. So with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, as I mentioned before, I'm super excited to announce that a couple of spots have opened up for the free one-to-one consult with me for the Reality Mastery Program. If you'd like to sign up for that, make sure you click on the link in the description below. Please only sign up if you're serious about working together in a program to level up your life and take it to that absolute highest level. This is typically for people who are professionals looking to transition out. They've tried all the strategies and the tactics and nothing's really worked, and they see that the problem is them. It's not about the what, it's about the who that's approaching the what. Even with entrepreneurs who are stuck at a certain revenue level and they find that they've hit an internal ceiling, they want to speed up their progress. They want to get from that 10 to 20K months to the 30, 40, 50K months. People who are high performers, creatives, and in general, if you've tried out a lot of different things, a lot of different strategies and tactics, and you've been very technical and you've seen none of it's worked and you've just gotten a surface level, temporary results, then this is for you. Okay, make sure you click on the link in the description below to sign up. Hope I see you there. And our free Facebook group is also open to take advantage of. The link for that is also in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Peace.